Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Rawbellious. Today, we're going to be discussing with you the different types of foods out there. Sophie,
So I suppose really we'd be good to start with the basics of 80-10-10.
Lady 1010, yes.
So I suppose if a lot of you would have started with an 80-10-10 on your raw journey, obviously there's lots of different ways to transition, which is another topic. Um,
That's a
yeah.
topic in
So
itself.
obviously, well, I know some people start with tripe and things like that. We'll just say I don't think there is a hard and fast way of transitioning your dog. I mean, most of the ways to transition are very similar, don't you find as well? There's the odd thing
I,
that maybe I wouldn't do personally.
I do. I personally think that you have to consider your dog when you're doing it, and
Individually.
not necessarily because there's just like you said, there's so many different ways of transitioning, and one rule might not fit another and vice
And
versa.
everyone thinks they
Um,
have the right way.
yes, yeah, there are just so many. And if you have a look at the different companies, they even have different
Yeah.
transition, routes. So I think it's always best to do your research, have a look, and decide what's going to be best for your dog and how you're going to be comfortable doing that transition.
We'll just touch on it quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry to go off on a tangent about the wrong thing, but
It's all
I
right.
think that kind of is a good point as well, because a lot of brands and a lot of nutritionists as well will sort of, well, especially the brands, they'll give you a sort of plan if you're on kibble and say about, start off adding 10% maybe of the raw to the kibble and gradually sort of wean off of it, which is a good point to make because there's such a big rule in especially in the raw community of you cannot feed kibble and raw together,
Yeah.
which we personally don't believe. It's a little bit of a grey area. There's actually not enough research to suggest that you can't do it. I think most people are worried about all the pH levels and everything in the dog's stomach. I had a dog at one time on both, and he actually thrived just because he was so just so against eating. So I think just go with what you want to go with. As I said, there is no complete right way. The only thing I would say is it's hard to sort of see if your dog's reacting to certain things. Obviously, because cooked proteins in a kibble are completely different to a raw version of
Yeah.
that protein. So you might have a dog that can't have chicken in a kibble, but actually mainly because it's meal and all the other shite that's in it. And then when they go into raw, they can have the chicken. But if you're sort of transitioning over, mixing the two together, it's actually really hard to kind of notice.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really good point. But in saying that, I mean, there are some people who will just do a hard switch and that's it, and it works for
Yep.
them. But it doesn't mean to say it's going to work for all.
No.
But yeah. Um, I mean, should we hop along
Yeah, do you want
because
to
I
go
think we've
in?
just
Go.
gone off
Yeah, I
onto
know,
another
sorry. Yeah, do you
episode.
want to just sort of
So,
break down an 80-10-10 for everyone?
hey, so in 80-10-10, you have got the very basics. It's exactly what it says. It's 80% muscle meat, it's 10% bone, and 10% you got your secreting organs, which altogether as a whole, that is what is needed. However, it is
The
so
foundation.
important yeah, the foundation. It is so important to know that that is not a complete
No.
meal.
And also, some
And a
dogs
lot,
can tolerate more than 10% bone and need more
oh
than
gosh,
10%
yeah,
bone, and vice versa. Some dogs can't.
yeah.
And I find personally as well, I don't know about you, and this is like really good reputable brands. Sometimes my dog
Mm.
can't tolerate, one of my dogs can't tolerate 10% bone in one brand, but they can in another. So,
It's really weird.
yeah,
See, I'm really lucky with Bolt. He will. he loves his bones and he can tolerate a lot of
Yeah.
bone. So it's every dog, once again, is
Oh yeah,
different.
that's like Nico
So
can tolerate.
it's, yeah.
I mean, he can have a big bone and his 80-10-10 and be fine the next day, like no crumbly
Yeah.
poos. But then Indian snow, they're like, they can barely tolerate bone. It's, yeah, it's a right pain. It's my fault for having three
Oh,
dogs.
no,
Yeah,
sorry.
so it's the foundations, isn't it, really?
It is, it is. And it's, do you know what? Sorry, quickly going back to the transition guide. Not everyone starts on an 80-10-10 either. I mean, I know quite a few shops that will recommend going onto or starting on a complete.
Yeah.
Um, Even then, complete, just because it says it's complete, I think we know which brands we're talking about. It's not a complete,
No.
even though it states it on the front.
Yeah.
So it's
It sort of
really
just
important to be
scrapes
checking.
over what they could
Yes.
call a complete. You know, if your dog's only on a complete, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I mean, especially if you're coming from a kibble, it can only be
Well, yeah.
better. It's just that obviously there's a lot of, every complete's so different as well. A lot of brands
Yeah.
will have loads of vegetables and some salmon oil and call it a complete. And it's not. It's not at all.
No.
So I think you just need to, again, read your ingredients. That's the key, I think, with everything, because there's a lot of dogs that can't, like Snow, for example. She's, I'm going to the vet today actually to get her thyroid tested, because I think we're looking at a thyroid issue with her. And she's off completes at the moment because there's kelp, spirulina,
Yeah.
and I know that if they have, there's a whole thing of iodine here, but if a dog has hypothyroidism, that the iodine can sort of like interfere. So she's off complete. So again, that's so important to check your ingredients, because you may have a dog that's actually not going to benefit from what's in that food. So I think for me, I like 80-10-10, because then I can tailor what I'm adding into it for each dog, what
Yeah.
supplement. But I would admit, the first to admit, on a lazy day, I just whack a complete in and go, do you know what? I don't have to think
Sometimes
about
it's
it
the way to
today.
go. Yeah.
How, what about you? What do you favour sort of with your dogs? Or do you prefer a different thing for each dog?
At the moment we've got different thing for each dog. So Luna's got her fresh plan. It's cooked food at the moment. Um, then so Bolt, he is on DIY at the
Yeah.
moment. And we are working towards his skin health. And then also him eating more. He does prefer DIY, so it's the way to
So
go
you're
forward.
adding in the
However,
supplements like tailoring them for him.
yes, tailoring them, yeah. But then Molly, you can pop down an 80-10-10. Um, she absolutely loves it. She goes wild, absolutely wild for it. Stick a few vegetables in it, and she'll nose those out.
Yeah.
So she prefers an 80-10-10. So I do find that I'm having to pop little bits and pieces in for her cognitive health,
Yeah.
but hiding them well
Uh-huh.
because she hates veg of any kind.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it, as well? Like what you're saying, obviously, with 80-10-10s, you do have to supplement them to a
Mm.
degree. But I think, we've sort of said this before, you end up, if you don't sort of be careful, you end up throwing in, and these are amazing products, a product that's a powder that is like, oh, this one's got everything in it. You don't need to add anything else to your dog's diet. Obviously, we won't mention names, but there is a very popular one
No.
out there. And it's great. And I used to use it. But I think actually you get into a trap of not really looking what's in it, not knowing why
No.
you're putting it in the food, which is the most important thing. And you might have a dog that's actually not responding to it in any way. So adding in fresh is so important. So my preferred thing to add in is dark leafy greens, like
Yes.
spinach, kale, sprouts. I add in bok choy. This isn't every
Do
meal. Yeah,
you?
they love it. It's really good
Oh.
fiber. And then whole, like seeds and things. Like my dogs get
Mm.
pumpkin seeds but I grind
Yeah.
them myself, organic ones. Hemp oil they get as well. The Indian Nico get kelp, but Snow doesn't
Yeah.
at the moment, just because until I know what's going
The
on with her.
thyroid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously then I've got Snow who's got a zinc malabsorption issue at the moment, so she's on a very high zinc supplement, which makes me a bit uneasy. Then she's on supplements to help that absorb. She's on a probiotic, and then Indian Nico don't really have other big added things in. Obviously, apart from Nico's epilepsy medication, but
Yeah.
so I prefer 80-10-10 because I can tailor it to each dog. That's not to
Yeah.
say I don't
Yeah. I
have a
see that. Yeah.
lazy complete day where I think, oh, I don't need to add anything in today because I know they've had what they needed a week, and then I can just go, oh, there you go, have a complete. But I personally don't. There's a lot of completes I don't like just because the amount of things that I personally wouldn't add in, like never ever would add in salmon oil ever. I prefer fresh fish.
Yeah.
Carrots, I wouldn't add those in every day. There's too much. There's too many carbs for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a bit of Bolt loves a carrot. He really
Oh yeah,
does.
mine do now and again.
Yeah.
Now
Absolutely
and
loves a
again,
carrot.
a naughty treat.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, do you know what? In the beginning, I think I already said, didn't I? The amount of carrot I was putting into his meal when we did it so wrong in the
Yeah, yeah,
beginning.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was an awful lot. But yeah, I mean, I like an 80-10-10 for that reason. And also DIY as
yeah. I
well.
love DIY.
That is, although DIY it can be quite scary, especially when you're trying to get
Yeah,
everything
it takes up a
into.
lot of time as
Yeah,
well. And if you have multiple dogs and you're working, and it's great if you've got the time to do it and the money to do it, because I don't care what anyone says, it's more expensive.
it
I
is.
don't care.
It
And
is. I won't lie.
shoot myself in the foot a bit because I want them to have, with DIY, I like getting lots of different variety. So
Yeah, making it
yeah,
exciting.
so it
Yeah,
does cost me a fortune when I do it. I try and do a couple of days a month at least DIY though.
yeah. It's just fun and different for them,
It
isn't
is,
it?
yeah. Bit of
Yeah,
enrichment, I think, when you have all the crunch and everything with the DIY. But I mean, go back to completes, there are a lot of amazing completes out there. And as well, if you're
yeah,
just feeding them now and again, it isn't going to hurt. Obviously, having certain things in there that you might not want to feed yourself every day, but I tend to use Natural and Nutri-Worlds if I'm going to do complete,
natural.
just because I really
Mm,
like the ingredients in them.
yeah. I was going to say as well, the different brands, they use different parts as well, don't they? Which is quite important. But I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do have a fussy dog that is only, he's more partial to a certain brand
Yeah,
in particular. I think sometimes people do get a bit too caught up on
they
that.
do,
And
especially
I
when
think
you've been
it's,
feeding
yeah,
the same kibble for the last 5 years every day. I mean, you've got to look that.
yeah,
I mean, if you're only feeding one brand, 3 or 4 proteins, I mean, that's better than that. So,
that's so true. So true. I think it is. It's really, I think it's important, like we were saying at the beginning of the week, to do the best that you can with what you've got.
yeah,
And if you're just starting out with the one, that's fine.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, if you do feed completes all the time, just have a look what's in it. Don't double dose on a supplement that's already in it. You don't need to do that. But then just look at what's missing from them, because there will be something missing that your dog needs. Or maybe just even do a couple of days a week of adding in your own bits and pieces. It's better than not doing it at all.
Yeah,
But yeah, I feel that starting on an 80-10-10 is the best, just because you can tailor it and you can keep an eye on things a lot
yeah.
more. But everyone does
You
what
can
they need
definitely
to
can
do.
control it, yeah. So very true. So very true. Now, if we are, I mean, so we've spoken about DIY, 80-10-10. and complete.
Oh, I might.
There are all
No,
gone.
no. I was just going to say one thing
No,
I didn't
I was gonna say,
mention, and you quickly
all
that
gone.
you mentioned is like cooked food because
Yeah.
Snow's on currently on cooked food. She has different dog. Again, I love the ingredients in it.
Oh, they are. I like them.
Yeah, and that's just because of her gut issues at the moment because it is
Mm,
gentler on the gut for them to have cooked. So that's another option, definitely.
definitely. But if you are, one thing I would say is if you are looking into fresh cooking, if you don't want to buy, please try and work with someone, a
Yeah,
professional. Reason being, once again, it's not cheap. It's actually very
yeah, it is.
expensive. But you've got to get that balance right. And some of the things, if you pick up on YouTube, and everybody means well, but they don't know your dog.
Yeah,
And some of the things that actually go into that, the cooked food to save money, which I get, it's for now, but they can actually be
yeah.
detrimental, and it can cause inflammation. And I mean, it's a whole different topic.
Don't you
But
feel as well that some people I see um, doing cook, or just nobody in particular, like on TikTok or whatever. I think people feel because it's cooked and they get this like human food state of mind, they forget that you still
yes,
have to add in offal. And I just see somebody having
yeah,
like vegetables and a chicken breast for their dog, and it's like it's not
yeah,
enough. You have to put in a calcium substitute. You have to put in even more
you,
supplements.
yeah, your bone meal. And yeah, it is very complicated. And anybody that tells you it's easy, it's really
No.
not. But I think TikTok in particular has made it quite trendy just to whack on a bit of steak,
Yeah.
a little bit of rice, which I hate, and and like a bit of steamed broccoli, and voila, you've got this
Yeah.
beautiful meal. And that's actually worse, in my opinion, than feeding kibble long
Oh
term,
yeah, I
or
agree. I agree.
yeah, I,
I mean, there's that interesting story, isn't there? That didn't wasn't it Karen Becker, I think, was showing the dog that lived the longest, the oldest living dog in the
oh,
world.
but was it
Yeah,
Bobby?
was it last year
Yeah,
that he died? Anyway,
yeah, and
I
yeah,
mean, you could argue that that dog was probably thriving because of how long he lived, but he was literally just living off
mm,
table scraps, which it's interesting because obviously that wasn't going to be balanced in any way whatsoever.
no,
So, I mean, I think that's what I'm trying to get at, that we get so bogged down with what we have to do and we have to do this right.
yeah,
But I would say probably look into it a little bit more than just giving your dog some steamed chicken and a steak every now and again. It's just a
yeah,
bit more complex than that.
yeah. Even if it does look nice,
Yeah. There's an account
yes.
I absolutely love on Instagram. I can't remember what it is. We follow it on Rawbellious, and she's got these two little dogs. She did one the other day. She was eating a pizza and like turned around and looked at the dogs that they were staring at her. So then she made them a little pizza, but like did it with like making like a vegetable base, and then she puts it in a little box and gives it to them, and it's so cute.
Oh, that is so
She did
cute.
another
I've got
one,
to be
and they
honest
have
though.
like little steak dinners, and it's very
No,
cute.
I haven't got time for that.
It's
So I
really
love my
cute.
dogs, but I have. Yeah, it's really sweet.
I can't
Yeah,
remember what it
I
is.
haven't. I'll have to have a look later on.
Yeah, I'll try and find it. But obviously,
Yes.
I think people see accounts like that and think, oh, that's what you should be feeding your dog all the time. But
Yes. But that's the whole Insta versus reality, isn't it?
yeah,
It really is.
and
As pretty as
well,
it is, it's just not
like we were
attainable.
saying
It's
the other
not.
week about bowls as well. We
Yeah.
love a good looking bowl, but
Oh,
even if I
yeah.
take a picture of my bowls showing what's in it, not that they look pretty, but just to show each individual sort of component,
Yeah.
that gets mixed up and looks like slop. Like
It
before I
does.
give it to
Yeah.
the dogs.
No, I'm not saying your food looks like slop. I'm just saying in general, right?
Thanks,
It
Anna.
looks like slop. Yeah, it's all right. No, but I get what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I
It's
think there's yeah, your dogs don't care. Just remember that.
No, they really don't care at
No.
all. I did see something the other day. What was it? You know, about food, looking at the food with your eyes. that's how you're attracted to the
Mm.
food. To be fair, Molly was running around the garden with a dead rat in her, mouth. They really don't care. It's like, just a disclaimer, I don't actually have
Actually,
rats in my garden. It was come from the realm.
someone commented on that the other day, when I was talking about cleavers on my other account, and like how like Snow self-selects, and somebody said, well, yeah, they're more likely to self-select like fox shit. And I was like, it's true. They definitely don't. They definitely have a different system to us.
Yeah, it's for us, not for the dogs.
It did make me
Oh,
laugh.
oh, don't. One thing I was gonna say was anybody who wants to step into the world of kibble, looking deeper into kibble
Mm-hmm.
as well, there is an amazing documentary on, I think it's on Amazon Prime, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you can see
Um,
it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's like
yeah.
knockoff videos of it on YouTube as well if you don't want to pay.
Yeah. It's pet food,
Hmm.
and it was a massive eye opener for
Oh,
me.
it's awful.
Um, It is, yeah, it's really, really shocking. Without giving too much away, I do feel anyone who wants to know more about pet food industry
Yeah.
needs to watch this program.
Hmm.
So, so that was just my two
No,
pence.
no, no.
But
I agree. It's
yeah,
really interesting. And that's not to say, I think obviously that's the big market pet food.
yeah,
That's America as well, which is a whole different kettle of fish
hmm,
on its own. But it doesn't mean like obviously there's a lot of people who are going to feed kibble, and that's fine. As we said before, there's things you can do to improve it.
yeah,
So even if you're like, okay, I'm absolutely disgusted, but I can still sort of only afford a kibble, there are better kibbles. I don't care what anyone says, there are
yeah,
better kibbles. There are
yeah.
things you can do to improve that kibble. I don't know if anybody listening saw our Instagram post that I put up about I'm going to get it up while I'm reading it so I can actually say properly, about the experience I had with when I had to add in a kibble for Nico's diet. So I was looking on All About Dog Food, which is a very informative website,
Hmm.
sort of trying to find, I was adamant I was going to find a kibble that didn't have loads of starch in it, loads of like
Mm.
carbs. And so I did find one that looked like a lesser evil. It came under cold pressed. I then found out it's not actually cold pressed. They use a method, I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but it's sort of in between cooked and cold pressed. I don't know how much of that is
Oh,
absolute
okay.
bullshit, but whatever.
Oh.
Anyway, they shall remain nameless. So I got this kibble for him, and he ate it. It was still a struggle. So after a while, I noticed when I was putting it in his bowl that there was these little bits of blue plastic in the actual kibble, like inside the kibble.
Yeah,
And I cut a piece open and pulled it out. And it looked like blue rope that you get on, do you know the blue rope I mean? Like
yeah, I
plastic
do.
rope. And I just thought that's a bit weird. I just thought it was one off. And it happened a few more times. Um, so I messaged them and I was like mortified, like, just so you know, there's like plastic rope in this kibble. So they sent me this statement. You can read it. It's on our Instagram. I put it up. And the post was, "Where's your dog food made?" So basically, I went on a deep dive. I think they are a Spanish based company, but they now make it in the UK or something. Did a deep dive on, because there's always a big overhead company that own that kibble company.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I found out that the factory that this big company own makes rope, plastic rope that goes around meat for human consumption.
Mm.
And they're making this dog food in that factory, or basically they're throwing the meat in that still has plastic on it. Because the
That's
amount I
scary.
found, it wasn't one off. And the fact that they had a prepared statement sort of says to me that's not right.
Yeah.
I was horrified. I had another bag of it, that I opened and looked in that, couldn't see it, got 2 bags at the same time, and then all of my dogs got violently ill with a stomach bug.
Mm.
Snow wasn't on it, but she actually broke through the baby gate into the cupboard and ate half the bag one day when I was out because she's an arsehole. And they all had this gastro bug. So then I messaged the company again and I said, look, gastro bug going on. The only thing they've all had is this dog food. I don't know if it is it, but just to let you know. And they said, well, nothing's come back about it. Anyway, binned it promptly. Luckily, Nico started eating again, so he's not on that. But it frightened me. Like, I was
Yeah.
absolutely shocked to the core, and I shouldn't have been, because I know, but you can sort of step back and put it in an arm's length saying, well, I don't deal with that. So, but I kept finding this bloody plastic and I was like, what the hell? Horrible, horrible, horrible. And it just, ugh, it scares me.
The prepared statement, it
The
tells you
prepared
everything,
statement
really, doesn't
shocked
it?
me. Actually,
Yeah.
all about dog food, I might contact you and show you this prepared statement, because it's got quite a high rating, this food, on the website, and I just think it's maybe something to bring up or point out, because I think the rating should be pulled down.
Yeah, massively on that. I mean, yeah. I mean, have they had anyone else?
I don't know.
You
They
know,
wouldn't say. They wouldn't say.
no.
There's no way you're going to say, oh, yeah, we've had loads of complaints about our food. So do your research about your kibble. And I think I've said before, like, I had Nico in the end on Eden and mainly a Keeler as well. Obviously there's ingredients in all kibble. I wouldn't pick 100%, but they were just the ones that I found that I was happiest with. So like I said, there
Yeah.
are kibbles out there that are going to be a better kibble, definitely.
Yeah.
Just do your research with it, for God's sake.
Oh my
It's
gosh, yes.
scary, very scary.
Oh no, I agree. I agree. I mean, while we're on, kibble, hydrolyzed.
Yeah.
I personally don't know how to feel about it. I I get that there may be a need for it for some dogs, but I've heard of a few people recommending this and that everything's going to be okay after you use it. Once again,
It's not magic.
check. No, it's not. No, it's really not.
But
Once
I
again,
will say raw's not magic either. Do you know?
raw's
And there
not.
are
No,
people out
no,
there who
absolutely
will
not.
say through their teeth that they can fix your dog with a raw diet. They cannot always
Yeah,
fix your
no,
dog with a raw diet. I think we need to be
no.
transparent about both sides. Like it.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, the amount of people. I think I said to you at the beginning of the week. Someone said about if raw may be expensive, but then you're saving all the money on not going to the vets.
Oh,
And
I wish
it's
that was
just,
helping me today with the money I'm
I
going to spend
know,
at the vet.
I know. Just because you have a dog that is being fed raw, you can't take into, I mean, you have to take into account, sorry, genetic
Yeah.
predispositions. You've got to take into
You're giving
account
it the best
injuries.
chance by feeding it raw, and a species
Yes.
appropriate diet. You're giving it the best chance. It doesn't mean, and I think it's important for people starting on a raw journey to understand, it doesn't mean your dog's not going to get ill. It doesn't mean
No.
things aren't going to go wrong. And when you're starting out as well, I think, well, my mum was a person who didn't really pay attention and just thought and I helped her get her dogs on raw, her French bulldogs. One of them
Yeah.
ended up, because she wasn't watching the poo, one
Yeah.
of them ended up nearly dying because of a blockage. So, you
Yeah.
got to think of your breed, what's best for your breed, what's best for your individual dog, because his body shape was so messed up that he actually couldn't tolerate any bone in the end. So it's not a cure-all thing. Same as
No.
hydrolyzed. I think vets throw it at dogs, saying, right, well, your dog can't do this, you can't have that. Put it on hydrolyzed. There you go. That'll work.
Yeah. It's not always the case at all. Really, really isn't.
It is. I know it's not hydrolyzed, but it was the same with Nico when he first was diagnosed with epilepsy. obviously I had him on a raw diet. He was only 6 months old, but straight away the vet started mentioning the diet to me, that I think it's Purina one.
Is it the neuro one?
Yeah. So
Oh my
I said
gosh.
no, said why. And I said to her, can you bring me, because they sell it, obviously. And I said, could you
Yeah.
bring the packet in and show me? Like, because I said, you know, if you can show me it, like, it's amazing. Like, I said it nicely, obviously. Like, and I looked at the back at the ingredients and there was not a lot of protein in it, for one. And I was like, oh, look, what's the difference? MCT oil. It had MCT oil in it.
So that's
That
enough
was
to class it as a
that
neuro
was the
and
biggest,
charge.
that was the
Yeah.
only difference of that and another kibble, is it had MCT oil in it. And I just thought, and I said to her, I'm adding MCT oil into his diet. And she said, like, fair enough. She didn't argue. But I just thought, how interesting is that they're not telling you about MCT oil and how amazing it is. Just straight away, it was like, here you go, this kibble will really help, and don't tell you what's in it.
No. It really annoys me. It really, really does. Do you know what? When I worked at before pause, I worked in the shop, but we used to actually sell. Is it for service dogs? I can't remember the name of it, but there was actually a kibble especially for service dogs. And you know the one I mean. Have you
I
seen it?
don't know.
Oh, you don't. I just thought, like, I read the
Why?
what? No, it was, if anything, that dog is going to be bouncing off the walls.
But
Not
also, like,
calm,
how
not
can they
alert.
market something to a service dog? Because you've got police dogs, service dogs, you've got guide
Yeah,
dogs, like,
guide
they have
dogs
very different lifestyles. So
needs. Yeah.
it doesn't make any
Oh,
sense at all.
no,
How
no.
bizarre.
I'll find it and send it to you. But yeah, we didn't have it in there for long. Didn't sell.
Oh, it's so strange. I suppose it's that whole working dog food thing as well. That's especially, well,
Yeah.
obviously all working dog things, but I see it a lot. There's a kibble, very known kibble brand that a lot of people use who race their huskies, and it's like it sponsors a lot of the races, and you look at the ingredients, it's fucking shit, sorry, but it's
Yeah.
awful. And it's if and I had an argument with somebody once on one of the sled dog forum chat groups, whatever it's called, Facebook, that's the one. Forums, shows you my age, Jesus. And
We're young.
and he was like, and he was like pushing it on somebody, like saying it's the only food to feed a sled dog. And I said to him, it's not. And he was going, and he actually swore it, and he was like, how many fucking sled dogs have you helped? And I was like, I'm telling you now that it's not. Like, a few other people were sort of jumping on him as well, and I was like, it's just carbohydrate. It's like, if you knew anything about sled dogs, anything about their metabolism, which is so unique, that's not the right food for them. Stop
No,
shoving
but
it down people's throats, saying it's the only food they should have. It was just,
I know.
boils.
It's what they've been told though by oh, don't. It's what they've been told by these companies, and they're so clever with their wording and their marketing, and yeah, it really, it grates on me.
I'm not, and
That's
also
another
I'm
thing.
really not saying that
Okay.
there's not dogs out there who come across as absolutely fine to their owners who have these foods. It's just knowing what you know when you study nutrition and knowing
Yeah.
how things work. It's just not. Sorry. It's just not.
No. One of the my pet peeves is I hate the word flavor. I
Oh
hate
no, I'm
it.
guilty of saying
I
it sometimes. Sorry. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a nice flavour. And I'm like, flavour?
Yeah. Oh, it's chicken flavored or it's lamb. No. Sorry. I
Oh
hate it. I
God.
really, really
I know,
do.
it's a
But
stupid word.
I know. I don't know why I just don't like it.
Because it's not the
But
right, it's a
so
protein. It's not a flavour.
it's a protein, yeah,
I
not a
don't know
flavour.
why.
Yeah, it's like bacon
Yeah.
flavour crisps, you know. Like.
As soon as, it's like when you get an orange juice drink that you know it's
Yeah.
actually not orange juice.
Yeah.
it's like it's not pure orange juice, but they'll sell it as that. But
No.
orange juice drink sort of lets you know that actually it's not. So when something says it's chicken flavor for a dog, you're like, is it?
Yeah.
Is it
It's
chicken?
not. What is it? No. Oh no. Right, one of the other things I was gonna say, tinned.
Mm-hmm.
Tinned food.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's an array.
Mm-hmm.
We have
I've been there as
everything
well.
from, yeah. I'll tell you one thing that we actually see a lot of on the lurcher sites and greyhound is a tin called chappy.
Chappy. Yeah.
Whenever your dog
Ugh,
has,
that's
yeah,
grim.
the
Yeah.
trots, yep. Let's whack a bit of chappy in.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
it
don't know.
is on.
I've read the
I see it.
ingredients of chappy because I didn't know chappy. I didn't know anything about it. But yeah, I've seen the same
Yeah.
thing. I was actually quite shocked at what's in it, how popular, and it's extortionate as well for what it is.
I don't. I just can't get over it. But once again, with tin foods, there are different levels.
Yeah, and I would say
You've
there's a
got,
lot better. I mean,
yeah,
I personally don't put tin in the kibble category because obviously some are shockingly bad, but
yeah,
there are actually some really good tin foods, and it is an alternative. However, I will say sometimes they can work out way more expensive than a fresh diet.
massively. I
And the
mean,
amounts they tell you
Luna.
to feed as well on the back of them. Like I
Oh,
had
yeah,
Nico after this kibble thing. I thought, right, I'll get really good tins because then at least I know, he's getting some sort of
mm,
food in him. But oh God, they were like, yeah, he needs
go
5 tins a day. It worked out like 5 kilos of food or something
Oh my
ridiculous. I was like, I don't
gosh,
think so.
no. I mean, we were using Riverwood for a while.
I don't know that
I
one.
mean, I'll go over. No, but it's I think it might be German.
I
I
think
will double
the
check that.
German market's a lot better with wet food.
Yeah,
I don't know about kibble, but a lot of the
no,
German brands, they have actual like offal and things in. I think
yeah. I
they
mean,
sort of do a lot more research into their foods in
yeah.
the German market.
I mean, it was actually probably one of the better ones I've seen. But the price, I mean, she's a pup, so
Oh
obviously
yeah, I
she's
remember you put
growing.
them up. They're
I will go,
extortionate.
yeah. It was for 18 tins, it was £73.
Oh,
And I literally, my poor purse was crying.
I know.
Well,
There is
Apple
a
Pay.
there is
But
a Keeler again. Really, they're good tins.
yeah,
They're what I'd feed. There is a brand called Rocco, as well, that's not really got
yeah,
much in it apart from like meat and offal and things. Again,
yeah,
though, I'll point out I don't know the quality of the meat they're putting in it, but just as like a
yeah,
basic thing, and it's actually quite affordable. Um,
yeah.
so
I quite like Anna Forte's one as well.
Anaforte is
Yeah,
one of the best ones I'd say as well for
yeah.
me. Um, and I think, yeah, but it's the price of tins. It can
It is. It's extortionate. It really
I think
is.
people look at
And it's,
tins like I want to feed better, but I can't.
mm,
I'm scared of going on to raw or fresh, and the price of it and everything like that. But actually, it can work out more expensive.
yeah. I was going to say it's not like you can go part. In our last one, we used to sell Win a lot, and it was just like like a 12 pack for like I think it was like £6, £7 at the time. It's like brilliant bargain. So yeah, it's once again checking what your dogs are eating, and then also the other thing is complimentary. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. It's about checking the ingredients once
Hmm.
again. So this is going back to there was a poor gentleman that was coming in and out the shop, and he was only buying. Oh, actually, I won't
Fourth
even.
Glade do complimentary, don't they?
They
Yeah.
do, yeah, but this one was by the other one, the one we shall not name. Um, he was just buying I think it was like salmon and oats or something. Can't actually remember what it was, but it was a bag, and he would come in and I'd said to him in the end, "You are feeding something else with that,
Yeah.
aren't you?" And he said, "No, why?" And I was like, I had
Yeah,
to
I think it
explain
can
to
be
him, bless his
confusing,
heart.
can't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is fair
So I mean,
enough. If you're
there's
buying
a
a tin
yeah,
or something of food, you expect it to be a complete food. That's like the old way it is. And I
yeah,
think, yeah, because I think the Fourth Glade ones are like, are they like 90% meat, the complimentary one? But You're meant to mix it with another food.
Yeah, but there are some, like the one I was just mentioning, they're to go along with the other food. So it's kind of like you need the two, but no one actually
Yeah, and
says you
that
need
makes
the
it
two together.
complicated
And
as
it's,
well.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's I don't like that part. I feel if you're going to sell a product, you should clearly explain this is, not to be used alone.
Yeah, I think so. What else have we got? Trying to think. All the other food. Like, there's some. Oh, freeze dried.
Oh, yes,
Freeze
yes,
dried. So
freeze
I've got a
dried.
list of different foods here because I can't. There's so many now. It's like so confusing. Right, freeze dried food. Yeah. So that's another option for people.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll go back on something in a minute because I forgot to say. But yeah, freeze dried's another option. Freeze dried is extortionate.
I know. But if I'm going on holiday,
If you're
that's
going on
something I would
holiday, I think it's
definitely
a really good
consider.
option.
Yeah.
There's like raw freeze dried brands now and things like that. I mean, I personally, I would just take some really good quality tins if I really couldn't for a while.
Yeah.
And there are some brands that I would use, but freeze dried's extortionate. There's that new brand which seems to have died a death. I'm gonna write it on my hand and show you. Jesus Christ, it's so expensive. Hang on a minute. Yeah, it's so expensive. It costs a fortune.
I'm trying to think which one it is. I'm trying to think which one it is.
You look so confused. Look, I'm going to text Anna what
No,
it
I'm
is.
trying to think.
Don't
Right,
read it out loud.
go then. Oh my gosh, yes, I was about to say. I started using it because I got a load of
Oh
freebies,
my
but
God.
that's the only time I would use it because
I
yeah,
think it
I couldn't
worked
afford that. I'd have
out
to
that it would be for one dog, one of my dogs, it was like 90 quid a week. Yeah. And I was just like, are you having a
yeah.
laugh? Are you having a laugh? It's not, it's
No,
just,
that's I don't get why it's so
I don't know.
much.
I don't know if it's the process. I mean, I can't imagine it's because of the process. I don't know really.
No.
But yeah, I mean, that was a 23 kilo dog,
that's
about
extortionate.
90 quid a week. Even if I had one dog, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I actually went into, I have to say the name of the shop, Pets at Home. I went in there the other week and I actually had a look at their freeze dried section and I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Really?
I actually said something good. Right. Sorry.
I can't
But
I can't think of another freeze dried brand to be honest, other than the one I just sent you. But Rocketto.
no, sorry.
Rocketto, they
Yeah,
do freeze
no,
dried. It wasn't Rocketto I was talking
yeah.
about. They're all expensive though. They're all really expensive.
Yeah. There is one by the other one. I think they're is it Nature's Menu? But it's called something else.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's just
This is gonna
I
bug
mean I
me.
think they're really, these freeze dried raws I think are really good for, yeah, if you're going away, you're not going to have any fridge or freezer space. I think it's a really good thing, but long term use I just think I don't know.
I don't understand how it's even. How could you without remortgaging your house? You couldn't.
One thing,
You
and
really
yeah,
couldn't.
one thing I was going to say, sort of in the realms of these things as well, is a lot of kibble brands, and there's a very well known one that claims to be one of the better kibble brands. I don't know if it is. I don't really know enough about it. I don't like some of the ingredients in it, but they claim that they are the equivalent to raw but kibble, and I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like that.
It's not the one that's just been taken over, is it?
Oh, I don't know. But I don't like, a lot of them will say, this is the downside to feeding a raw diet. You have to defrost it. You have to do this. You have to do that. Well, you don't need to. No, it's not that one.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't know if I could
don't want to throw people under the bus. So
no.
So yeah, I've just messaged you. And
oh, okay.
So yeah, they will say, don't feed you don't have to feed raw. You don't have to go through the hassle of raw. You can just feed our kibble. And it's like,
Oh,
it's just not. I know it's marketing, but don't lie. Don't lie.
no, no, no.
This is not a
Well,
major brand either. Like, it's a sort of smaller brand, so they haven't even got
yeah,
the silly big marketing things behind it. And I just sort of think, don't tell people that, because it's just not the same.
no, absolutely not. Do we dare tread on the vegan
Oh
side
God.
of things, or should we leave that one? Because that's that. Do you know what? That is actually one by itself. That's a
I
podcast by
do not
itself.
understand. I don't understand ethically, like,
No,
how somebody could market that. Do you know what I mean? I don't
no,
understand how you can sit there and make money of selling something that, as far as I'm concerned, there's no way that you can think that that's okay. I had a
no.
lady, I had a cafe job for the summer a few years ago, and this lady came in, and we had some dog treats behind the till. And I remember saying to her, "Do you want like, I don't know what they were, bonios or something. Do you want a biscuit for your dog?" Because we're a dog friendly place. And she was like, "Oh no, he's vegan." And I would just, my colleague said my face just said everything it needed to say. And like, I do have this problem, but I just, I just, I was a vegan in the past for a little while.
Yeah.
Bacon got me. Bacon and McDonald's. That's
Like,
terrible. I hung over McDonald's. But I would have never, ever put that on my dog. And there's a lot of
no.
people we know who are vegans, and actually
Yeah.
they make the point of giving their dog a species appropriate diet because they know
Yeah.
that's what's right for them. And they would never in a million years feed a vegan dog food because they know it's not right.
No, I know. I do. No, actually, actually. Do you know what I'll say? I do feel, especially those that rescue, um, from certain trades, they go on to rescue these dogs, and then they want to give them the best life. However, they are not helping them to thrive. They're pushing their views onto that poor dog, and that poor dog isn't able to live. Like I don't want to drag anyone under the
No,
bus,
the
but
rest
I
that
do
you
think
know
it's
the rescue
paramount
world. I
to,
don't know the rescue world.
yeah, I do honestly think it's paramount to abuse. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. You're withholding something that the body needs for your own views. If you are
And
going to
actually,
rescue an
there's
animal, do
somebody
it
we know
correctly.
in this doggy crazy world who's she's a vegan, and she's
Mm,
very, very adamant to people that your dog should not be. And she's very good at that, and she really sticks up for dogs. And she
yeah.
gets a lot of abuse because she is a vegan for feeding her dog
Oh, yes, yes,
appropriate
yes. I
the
know. Yeah.
species appropriate diet.
No, and good on her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Humans do what they want to do, but you can't push any view. You know, I'm not going to push
No,
my views on my dogs.
no.
It's just
You
ridiculous.
can't. You're supposed
I'm
to
not
be your
saying
dog's voice,
veganism's
but not.
ridiculous because I've
Yeah.
been a vegan
Oh
and I take my
no.
bloody hat
Yeah.
off to you. Um, but I wouldn't put it, I would never have put that on my dog.
No.
Um,
I mean, I just think you can't. You can't
but
do
how
it.
brands can actually put that out. Actually, there is a cooked brand, the one that I don't like, never recommend, and I'm sorry, it's probably the most well known one, but the shite that's in it, anyway, whatever, different story.
V-Bucks.
But they released a vegan meal.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? I can't imagine
Because
why.
it's a
Why?
fad and they want to make money at the end of the day.
Oh,
And
for goodness
I couldn't see, this
sakes.
is why I'll never be a millionaire, because I can't fool people. I wouldn't be able to do that, I'm too honest. I'd just be like,
No. Oh,
I've
just
made this food, don't feed
why?
it to your dog, though, shit. I don't know.
I.
And I just think people, and I don't blame the people who have got
Mm,
no clue doing it either sometimes. It's
yeah.
just that they've been missold.
Duped. Yeah. It's marketing. I'll tell you one thing I absolutely hate in, I worked in, obviously, pet retail before, and the way we're told by the reps to sell a
Yeah.
product is quite shocking. it's like the claims, the bold claims, like just really where are they coming from? And I know we've had a discussion about other bold claims within other areas of pet care, so you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But it's when they publicly go out, and I mean, there was actually, and this is going back to vegan, there was actually someone who they were trying to get ahead and cause a bit of a stir in terms of publicity to sell their product by putting down other brands and and I don't agree with
No, I
that.
don't. I don't.
I just, why do you don't have to put something down to push yourself
No, you
ahead?
don't. That, funnily
No,
enough,
I
that
can't
goes for
bear it.
everything in this industry.
Well, yeah, that is a different story altogether. But yeah, I just I think maybe that's enough of the vegan thing because
Yeah,
it
they're
boils
right.
my blood. It boils my blood.
Don't do it, people. Just
No,
don't do it.
no,
Dogs do not need to be vegans.
no.
It's silly. But yeah, just sort of. Is there any other foods we want to talk about? Sorry.
Oh, can we just crack on the term quickly? You know, you see it, hypoallergenic. It's used to sell, and I think
Tell you what.
people need to fully understand
Yeah,
what it
what
is.
boils my blood about that as well is a lot of the time it's removing a lot of these foods has removed every single bit of protein that could be in a food, and it's just packed full of carbs. And then someone's poor dog, that they think might be having issues because of a protein, then they're put on this food full of carbs, probably itching and go, well, I know for a fact somebody got put on one, and then it was just constantly itching still, this dog.
Yeah.
And they put it on this diet to stop that because they thought it was a protein. Turns out it was just kibble full stop and all the
Well,
crap that was in it. But I just think, I don't know, same, annoys me.
yeah, it really does. Oh, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to say it again. Please always check the ingredients with everything you buy, especially if it is kibble, because if you're buying cranberry because it's going to help with UTIs and everything else, and you look on the back and you find it contains less than 1% cranberry, just please do your best to have a look at the ingredients, work out whether that is the best food for your dog, regardless of what food you're going to feed.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good point as well. I know we sort of said that, but Nico being epileptic, a lot of dogs are extremely sensitive to rosemary who have
yeah,
epilepsy. I avoided it like the plague for ages. And then, stupid me, because I was adding in kibble, obviously, to try and get him to eat. I didn't even bother looking for that. I just didn't
yeah,
even knowing what I know,
didn't
it just
occur.
didn't come into my mind. And then he'd been
No.
having it for ages, and then I suddenly freaked out, and I was like, "Shit, there's rosemary in this!" And I was like, "Well, I guess he's fine with rosemary then."
Yeah, he
But
is.
that's
Because no two are the
no,
same,
they're
are
not. But
they?
it is worth mentioning. Check the
Yeah.
ingredients for things like that. If you have a dog with a condition, I think it's so important to make sure. I mean, I'm on the autistic spectrum, so I've got to research every single thing. So I just think research, because you could be giving your dog something that it shouldn't be having for its condition.
Yeah.
Same with all these supplements in raw that we're throwing in.
Yeah.
I just think, yeah, we've got these amazing powders out there. They're like, this is the only one you need to add in, but it's actually
It's not right for your dog.
it's not right for every dog.
No.
No, you can have the odd day. I had the odd lazy
Yeah.
day where I'd add one of those in,
Mm.
or like if I was busy with work, and that's absolutely fine. But long term, it's not ideal, really.
No, it's really not.
There's so many foods, isn't there now? It's just
There
ridiculous.
is.
No,
I don't know why they can't just make it easy.
I know. But go back to the beginning, I think, yeah, if you're going to switch to fresh, well, I'll say raw, just because cooked's obviously slightly different, but just find a reputable place first to switch with.
Yes.
Got Steph's Pet Pantry. You can go there, or you can go to Poochie Park. And I'm saying this obviously because they'll help you with the transition,
Hmm.
and tell you how to do it properly. Their ways might be slightly different, so it's up to you to decide if you think that's the right way for your dog. But I just think it's
Yeah.
really important. A lot of these shops don't necessarily have the knowledge behind them, so go to one
Yeah.
go to one that you know is going to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're lovely people. There's a shop, a city near me, will not mention. They breed a lot of bullies, and they kind of just jumped on the raw thing. I've had this conversation with them. They kind of jumped on the raw
Yeah.
thing. They don't feed their dogs properly.
Oh,
I've tried to help them with that, but they would. I was in there one day just picking up some bits, and they would. I was listening to them talking to somebody about transitioning to raw, and they said, just feed loads of tripe, really good for your dog putting on weight as well. If it's a bit thin, just feed it loads of tripe. And then, big bones, and they were like, marrow bones are great because they last for ages. And I was
oh
just
my God.
like, I actually was like, just close your ears, because
Yeah. It is
it's
scary, some of the advice out
yeah.
there,
So
but then this is what you were saying,
make sure you go into a
yeah,
really reputable shop if you're going to do that.
yeah,
We will say, there are some good Facebook groups that you can find. There's two, three, I'd say, that I would follow their advice.
mm,
And then you just got to, I think the best thing to do is probably speak to a nutritionist. And again, just be selective
yeah,
about, do your research about your nutritionist. Make sure they sort of have case studies and can tell you a bit about them, what they've learned, because you just need to know that they're going to help you the best way possible, really. Don't feel pushed
yeah,
into feeding a particular way either. If you want to do 80-10-10, if you want to do DIY, if you want to do complete, and that suits your lifestyle better, then go for it. Just
yeah,
make sure you're doing it properly is the main thing.
yeah. One thing I will say is, I think with Steph's and Poochie, if you are going to approach them and say, they give you, their way of transitioning, the thing I like about the pair of them is they will
Yeah.
listen, and they will, you can open up, and I'm sure that there's some kind of middle ground that you can come to at some point. Um, and I think that's important as well. You listen to each other. That's so
Yeah.
important, because you get quite a few shops that are, this is the way you do it, and that's that, and they're not open to, you know, other
Yeah,
options, shall we
because
say?
obviously people will say, start with the proteins that are the ones that are going to be the most likely that you're going to have the issues with.
Yeah.
So most people will put you on chicken, beef, and then sometimes
Mm.
lamb. But if you want to start with a more novel protein because you're nervous that your dog has a chicken allergy because of your previous
Yeah.
experience with kibble, it's absolutely fine to start out like that and then start adding at some point a little bit of those proteins that you're worried about. You
Yeah.
don't have to start. You don't have to start with those proteins. It's just easier to sort of get it out the way and make sure that everything's all right.
Yeah.
But they also,
Very
I
true.
think, that's good is they'll. I'm not sure Steph's, but she'll give you advice on what foods to like start with. But I know Helena's got
Mm.
transition packages on her website. Packages, that's a
Yeah.
weird thing to say, isn't it?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
She's got transition like boxes you can buy that have, and
Yeah.
she'll help you work out the weight of your dog, how much of it you need, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I just think it's really important. It just gets you off to the best start, and also doesn't scare you off of it, because I think if you do it wrong, then you can get scared of the journey, can't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just give up. But yeah, I don't think there's any
I
other
agree.
foods, is there, really, we can cover? If we've missed one, obviously,
No.
shout at us.
I think yeah. Oh, I don't think we have we?
No,
So
I
we've been
don't think
through
so.
home cooked, yeah. Well, I think we've done it all.
Ultimately, as long as your dog is happy and loved and you are doing the best you can, that's all you can do. But I just think everybody needs to research what they're feeding, why they're feeding, and just come to a decision of what's best for them, really, and what's best for your dog. And go and watch that documentary.
Oh my gosh,
because
yes,
it is an eye-opener. Actually, we'll link that on our Linktree link in our biography on the Instagram.
Yes.
Yes. Excuse me, I have a dry throat today. Talking too much. Yeah, so I think we've covered everything, haven't we? We'll do a supplement one. I think that would be quite good to do after talking about supplements and moaning about them so much.
I think, yeah, do you know what? Supplements, I think, are so overused, and it's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, hopefully on our next episode, we'll have another lovely guest with us.
We shall.
We don't want to use everyone up. We've got a nice list of people we really want to get and have a chat with. So hopefully our next episode will be somebody interesting, not just us going blah blah blah.
I think I'm interested. No, I'm joking.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And we will see you on our next episode.
Bye.
While we share our personal views and experiences with canine health and nutrition, it's important to note our podcast is not a substitute for professional veterinary advice. If you have any concerns or questions about your dog's health or well-being, we strongly recommend seeking guidance from a qualified vet. Every dog is unique and individual circumstances may require specific attention. Our podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Please do not take any information from our podcast as one-to-one nutritional advice. Thanks for tuning in.